reflect, and plan, part of the 9 Principles in Action webinar series about making continuous improvements happen. My name is Dr. Deanna Ashby, and I am the leader coach with Huron Studer Education. During our 30 minutes together today, we will take some time to discuss the importance to pause, reflect, plan, and take action. Hopefully this will provide a moment to think about what we want to accomplish for the remainder of the year. Throughout the webinar, I will refer to the 9 principles for organizational excellence, our guiding beliefs and standards of practice that support excellence in any organization. Let's begin. Heading toward the end of the first semester of the school year and closing of the fiscal year, it is a great time to step back from the busy schedule and pause. In an article entitled, "Is the Great Resignation the Tip of the Iceberg?" it stated the following: "We are presently facing a trend where people are resigning from their jobs due to burnout, searching for fulfillment, a sense of purpose and meaning. This movement has been named the Great Resignation or Great Reevaluation. Just like on an airplane, the flight attendant says, in the event of lost cabin pressure, we should put our mask on first before helping others. As leaders, we must take care of ourselves before we can help others in any organization." This is the why. This is a busy time of year. December is a short month, and there are deadlines to meet and reports to write. So why is it important to pause? In a Studer podcast entitled "Finding Purpose Outside of Work," one of my colleagues, Whitney Patterson, talked about the why. What makes you want to get up and go to work? What makes you want to stay in your current role? What makes you get engaged and be excited about the work you're performing? I think about the Harry Wong book, The First 100 Days of School. And as a former superintendent, I often ask my staff, do we have the same intensity and excitement on the 100th day of school as we did on the first day? So, do we remember our why? Are we as leaders creating a culture where people want to work and stay with our organization through COVID? Many employees have experienced burnout and fatigue, and now more than ever, it's important to ask ourselves the question, what led us into this profession? Hopefully, during this break, we can take the time to pause, redefine, and reconnect with our why. The picture of the iceberg. Colleagues often see only what lies beneath the waterline. What they don't see is what lies beneath the surface. Sounds like a scary movie. All the emotions, feelings, and stressors that affect everyday interactions with coworkers. An article in Forbes magazine cites some interesting statistics about the workplace since COVID. 94% of all workers are stressed. 78% believe that the coronavirus pandemic has severely affected their mental health. 40% are making more flawed decisions. And lastly, 90% conclude that newfound work-related stress affects their home lives. Are we dealing with what lies beneath the surface, personally and professionally? During our pause, it's important to take a deep dive to discover what lies beneath the surface. Many may be experiencing social and emotional issues or professional frustrations. In the book, The Pause Principle, the author shares this quote. Take a few minutes to read this quote and determine what words resonate with you. For me, words that I connected to were step back, impact, and mission. Taking the time to pause, step back, and sometimes even step away help us to gain clarity, refresh our thoughts for a greater impact in our mission field. What do we want to accomplish for the remainder of the year? Previously, I mentioned the book, The Pause Principle, and the author defines pause points as pragmatic practices that help us focus our attention and energy to grow, create, and solve problems. Let me repeat that. Pause points. focus our attention and energy to grow, create, and solve problems. Let's practice a pause point. Take about 20 seconds to review this list and jot down a few pause points that might be helpful to you in reflecting. What are some activities that would assist you to pause and clear your thinking? Perhaps there are other ways that might help you that aren't listed. For me, I have to shut out all distractions. Many times I can do this by taking a walk or a long drive. Whichever pause points you choose, be purposeful and block some time to pause. Now, let's apply the pause principle in the workplace. Harvard Business Review article shared examples of times it's beneficial to pause at work. The first is sending emails. Who among us has not experienced this? If we're angry or frustrated, we may want to just wait 24 hours before hitting send. Many have experienced a reply all email battle between colleagues debating a topic that becomes heated. I've experienced this, and it's like a tennis match going back and forth. Number two, in a meeting, take time to pause and listen to others. Many times as leaders, we want to be fixers and quickly try to solve the problem. We may learn something and gain a completely different perspective by pausing. And lastly, pause before making assumptions about the situation. Many times we just want to jump to the conclusion and we may not have all the facts. The article describes what may occur without a pause. The result can be awkward or incomplete. The message that causes the recipient to pause, then react, often starting or continuing a cycle of miscommunication and misunderstanding. Continuing to think about the pause at work, let's connect to it by managing performance. In relation to employee performance, take time to pause to review if there's anyone in the next semester with whom we need to adjust our approach for the remainder of the year. Have we put off having that difficult conversation? Have we taken time to re-recruit a high performer? Everyone is experiencing a shortage of workers, classified, certified, and it's never been more important to share with others their value in the organization. Is there anyone we need to circle back with to close the feedback loop? This might be an employee, it might be an angry parent, or even a student. Lastly, follow up with a colleague regarding survey results from the district survey or employee engagement. Whatever you do, pause to conduct those important conversations and make those part of your plan. An article from Leadership Freak states, apart from pause to reflect, you'll get lost in problems and distracted by results. If you aren't careful, you'll define yourself by what you do rather than who you are. Think about this. What actions are defining us? Are outside influences distracting us from our mission? Are we off course? We know that actions speak louder than words. Therefore, we must pause to choose our words and actions carefully. It's important to pause to assess where we are at the midpoint of the year before taking action. Once we have paused, the next step is to reflect. I absolutely love this picture of the man with his dog watching the sunset. He's obviously taking the time to be reflective. The article, The Power of Reflection at Work, describes the expectation on employees to double down and work harder. Don't stop to think, just drive forward. Many leaders have felt and said, I know I have, I don't have time to stop. I've got to get this done. Others are depending on me. However, research shows that reflection boosts performance. Let me repeat that. Reflection boosts performance. Now more than ever, people are living busy lives and feeling overworked. Taking time to reflect will help us gain a better perspective of where we are and where we're going. Most employers don't provide reflection time. I know I didn't. How often do leaders say in a meeting, let's take a few moments to pause and reflect and ponder this decision before moving forward? Perhaps as leaders, we should add reflection time as part of our agenda. As referenced earlier, we should always start with the why, when sharing reasons for decision-making or actions taken. During reflection time, it's important to take time to reacquaint ourselves with our why. Every one of us has a why, a deep-seated purpose, cause, or belief that is the source of our passion and inspiration. Waking up inspired to go to work and coming home at the end of the day feeling fulfilled by the work we do. Do we remember our why? Why we're in the current leadership role, mission field, or position we're in? Have we become consumed with the white noise and distractions of life and lost our perspective? Perhaps through taking time to reflect, we can reacquaint ourselves with the reason, purpose, and the why that led us to accept this calling. Do we still feel the excitement when we get ready to go to work, when our feet hit the floor, just like we did on the first day of the job? We also need to remember to encourage our team to also reacquaint with their why. The book Find Your Why discusses building long-lasting professional relationships within our organization. Is our customer base or partners sensing our why? Can our coworkers or students sense our passion for why we're leading the organization? One quote from the book says, "It's the reason we keep wearing the jersey of our hometown sports team, even though we've missed the playoffs for 10 years and counting." As leaders, it's important to connect with our staff through rounding, re-recruiting, and conversations with new employees. It's a great opportunity to build loyalty and make deposits in others. Fill those buckets by helping others remember why and understand the importance within the organization. I can tell you that I work with a group of coaches that get very, very excited when they argue about whose football team is best. I'm not all sure that they have winning seasons, so they're still loyal to their team, fans and followers. We need to help our team feel the spirit of wearing that team jersey, hearing the roar of the crowd, and feeling the excitement in our mission field. Being a leader and facing today's challenges is tough. Serving as a superintendent of a district, president of a community college or a higher education association, or managing an organization, it's full of pressure, especially as we face today's struggle. In order to survive, we must be purposeful in creating some times to refocus. Here are a few tips to help us survive and reflect. Number one, find some time to limit calls, emails, and texts. Now, obviously, we all have non-negotiables of answering emails and calls during a business week within 24 hours. But during the break, while you're taking some time to pause and reflect, try to whittle down and limit your number of emails, calls, and texts so that you can have some time to really think. Number two, connect with another colleague. So for instance, as a superintendent or president of a college or an organization, often we feel very isolated, like we're on an island alone and that there's no one who really gets us or understands what we're going through. It's a great time to connect with a counterpart that you can really talk to and share ideas about what you're feeling. And number three, use visual reminders to connect with mission. In the article, Accelerated Leadership Wisdom, the author talked about how a student had done a portrait of him. He hung it in his office, and every time he saw the visual reminder, it helped him reconnect with his mission, the kids. In a recent article in The Beast Between Your Ears, the statement, "Our brain thinks things we don't want to think. We try to push problems out of our brain, but they hide under our pillow every night. We want to forget a painful memory, but it comes back again and again. We may want to forget a bad decision we made. I know I have many times. That decision at work or a time when we spoke too quickly. We toss and we turn and we can't get things out of our mind. So here's the solution. The article suggested to channel your thoughts by asking ourselves specific questions to guide self-reflection. Take a few moments and reflect on this list. Which of these questions would help to refocus your thoughts? These are great reflection questions for all employees, and we might even want to choose a few to incorporate into employee conversations. For instance, asking employees, who are you pouring into today? I can think about that bus driver that's the first good morning and the last goodbye in the afternoon, or that cafeteria worker as they encounter each student going through their lunch line. They are obviously pouring into every child they encounter. How can we as leaders use these questions to help others self-reflect? And now the third part of our webinar is the importance of planning. Why plan? As we always ask, why? Often we have heard the statement, we're building the plane while we're flying in the air. The feeling can be frustrating. However, many feel that pre-planning takes time. Some may say, why plan? Why can't we just plan as we go? Interestingly, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce states that only 3% of all adult citizens in the United States take the time and effort to plan for the future. Yet, those 3% that plan accomplish 5 to 10 times more in their lifetime than do the other 97%. Other quotes related to the why of planning. Ben Franklin said, "By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail." Dale Carnegie shared, "An hour of planning can save you 10 hours of doing." Think about a time when you didn't properly plan and how it would have improved the outcome had you spent that time getting ready. The book Reflect to Reset provides a framework for daily planning. This is a tool to help guide reflection and assessment of mid-year plans. Let's take a few minutes to read these steps. Which of these do you struggle with in your planning process? Number 1, reflect on your past and decide your future. Number 2, evaluate your priorities to pursue the right goals. Number 3, simplify instead of overcomplicating. Number 4, establish a plan to achieve better results in less time. And number 5, time block, action that fast-track extraordinary results. Of the 5 items listed, which do you find most challenging? For me, blocking time is very important toward implementation of a plan. However, many times leaders say there's just not enough time in the day, so we must ask ourselves, are we being intentional about devoting 20% of our daily activity towards strategic planning? As leaders, we must block the time to visit schools, classrooms, and conduct strategic conversations. Ways to do that include setting a timer on your watch, blocking time on your calendar, getting an accountability partner for support and encouragement, or asking our assistant and support staff to help us protect our time. While developing plans for the second half of the year, reflect and evaluate work with your team. Just as we conduct mid-year evaluations, the midpoint of the school year is an opportune time to review notes with district administrators and principals and develop plans for the second semester. In planning, have we celebrated our wins? Have we seized opportunities to thank others? Are there projects that are left unfinished? It's important to define our action steps as we develop our plan for moving forward. Principle 7 in the 9 principles for organizational leadership is align behaviors and goals and values. Are we on track with accomplishing our organizational goals? Another important step in planning our actions moving into the second half of the year is assessing our progress with the 9P, recognize and reward success. Make creating a culture of gratitude part of your plan. I love this slide. The pause that refreshes suggests that you make a list of 5 people that have influenced your life. Choose 5 people from the list, pick up the phone and tell one of them how you're better because of them pouring into you. Be specific. Tomorrow, choose another name from the list and so on. Who has influenced your life as a leader? Is it a teacher, a mentor, a coach, a family member? Embed, recognize, and reward success one call at a time as part of the plan. As we reflect, are we where we desire to be within our organization for reward and recognition of others. In assessing progress at mid-year, visualize your leadership growth and where you plan to lead the team. This quote says, "Imagine yourself fully on purpose, living your mission with optimal passion, influence, and character. See yourself fully aware and fearless about your strengths and vulnerabilities. You are standing firmly on your 2 feet, rooted in a deep awareness of who you are. You are determined to grow to the next level, fully aware and accepting of who you are." Take a few minutes to ask yourself these questions. How does this vision feel? How does your plan feel? How close are you to accomplishing your vision, your plan? What actions do you need to take to get there? How do you get back on course? What is something you can begin doing today to move toward this vision? Can we see these actions within the plan moving forward, leading to accomplish the vision? As we conclude our time together today, do we feel prepared to head toward the finish line? John Tesh said, "The world is full of people who have dreams of playing at Carnegie Hall, of running a marathon, and of owning their own business. The difference between the people who make it across the finish line and everyone else is one simple thing: an action plan." Hopefully, through this webinar, we have taken time to determine steps to help us pause and reflect and prepare to launch our plan of action or mid-year course correction. In the latest Studer podcast, "The Best Gift We Can Give," it addresses the importance of spending quality time with others and to help them feel loved and valued. Through this time of pause and reflection, I hope you can rest and find the energy to kick off the next semester with enthusiasm and energy to love, care for, and value and lead your team. Greg Reed said, "A dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. A plan backed by action makes your dreams come true." Thank you for joining the 9 Principles in Action webinar. I encourage you to take the time to pause, reflect, and plan. There's no time like the present during the holiday season to remember what's important, rest and rejuvenate, and plan for what's to come. Best wishes to you and your teams as we face this next year together.